I'm not doing an intro this time. This is gonna have to do. So in case you missed it, last week I think it was last week. I think I'm behind actually on this video. I was supposed to do it on Sunday and then Monday and Tuesday and then Wednesday, and now it's Thursday and I'm behind and I'm slacking and I'm sorry. We're at 31 days without Spellbreak, so you know. Anyway, so we got a little Proletariat podcast. I think it was episode 4. Talked a lot about their history prior to Proletariat, not even Spellbreak itself, but Proletariat in general. Talked a lot about their history, how they got started, stuff like that. By the way, I'm just gonna jump into it. The intro thing already rolled, so already rolled. That's right? That sounds so weird. Anyways, we're just gonna get into it. So there's 5 founders. You've got Jesse, Damon, Joe, Dan, and Seth. All of which still work there, which I think is really cool, especially when you find out that Damon and Jesse have known each other since 1998, which I was 6. Most of you probably weren't even born yet or conceived or anything like that. Dan came into the picture 2001, I think is what Jesse said. Seth 2009, and then Joe like a year later, I think, when they all started kind of working together. What was the place? It was called Conduit. Go freaking figure. Conduit is what this place was called, which is acquired by Zynga, which for those of you who don't know is a mobile app gaming conglomerate. I think I don't know what the word is. It's probably not. I'm just making shit up at this point. Conduit was acquired by Zynga, which means they now work for Zynga. And funny story, in 2012, they ended up all getting laid off. All 5 of them. Also, guys, I didn't say this at the beginning. This is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna have timestamps probably at the bottom. I don't know what they're gonna be yet, but yeah, it's gonna be a long video. Anyways, Dan was making engines before he graduated high school, so they know what they're doing. They're great at their job. They just got laid off because there's probably some kind of weird situation, Conduit, probably. Anyways, Zynga laid them off. So now what do they do? Well, Seth being Seth, he's gonna go try to work for AAA games. He's not into the idea of doing something together. However, they all 5 kind of get to do it. Anyway, so Jesse wanted to. He thought it would be a good idea. I'm sure looking back on this, Jesse, you know this was not a good idea. A good idea. Well, I guess it is a good idea. You're here where you are now, but a good idea to start a company instead of applying or interviewing, because interviewing and applying is too much work. Less work than starting your own development company. The math doesn't compute on that one. Doesn't compute with that one. Anyway, so Seth did not want to do this. We had 4 in the bag, 1 left on the outside. Seth decides, I want to go. Keep me updated, but I'm gonna go and interview other places. I want to work on AAA games. Well, one night he's in a bar like we all do, and he gets a little bit more into it sentimentally, I guess I would say. Which I can't blame him. You're drinking. Your boys are there. They're all talking about, yo, Seth, come on, dude. Come on. You're gonna be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So they do it. At this point in the video, I think it's only 13 minutes in on the actual video. Andy says something about vacation after launch, to which Seth says, this is something we don't know yet, to which Seth says, what does he say? Seth says, we have to go straight into live ops and get the first chapters out, which means chapters won't be active when the game first comes out. I give it maybe a month, which means they might also wait a month to introduce some other things that we don't really know about. I don't know, but if they're waiting a month to introduce chapters, they might wait a month to bring in something else. But yeah. There's a lot of information in this podcast, so I will link it down below. This podcast was, I think it was 2 hours long. I'm just gonna highlight the beginning, kind of the middle, how we got the Spellbreak, kind of how we're at now, what they're excited for, that kind of thing. The games that they've made are Sloth Hug, which if you know Jesse, you know his Discord name is Sloth Hugger. His Twitch name is Sloth Hugger. There you go, that's that right there. And then you've got Zombination, which looked dope. I never got to play it. Stream Legends, which you can still actually do, I do believe, on Twitch. It's like a little panel thing underneath your stream. And Streamline, which had Twitch integration, but back then Twitch integration wasn't really a thing, so they had to use an outside website to do the Twitch integration through basically Hyperscape's like things they do on the side. But before that, because they're Proletariat and they're innovative, I guess. So why did they transition from that to Spellbreak? So back then, this is when I think there's a date. Yeah, the date is late 2016, early 2017. Competitive roguelikes. This is actually funny. They said they wanted to make a competitive roguelike for people who didn't like roguelikes, which is basically BR, because BRs had blown kind of up at that point. I think that was actually at the high point of Fortnite's fame, and maybe right as Apex started. I can't really remember date-wise for that, but they wanted to make a fantasy-based competitive roguelike, which hints into the MMORPG aspects of the game. And they wanted it to be something you can play 60 hours a week, 10 years. They want you to be able to invest time into this game. So what I got from that is there might not be a lot of content off drop, but that does not mean that the content won't come as the game goes. This is really just the beginning of this game. We've been around for a long time in the game. Me, myself have been here for what day? What even is the date, dude? It's August. Holy cow. A year and 8 months. So it feels like this is not the beginning for us, but I promise you guys, this is the very beginning. This is the beginning of this game. We've been testing it for a long time, but this is the beginning. So content will come after. This is just the beginning. Remember, it's a clean slate starting off, rocket ride, right? So they actually started the game with two different types. I think one was like a Viking one, and one was more actually I don't remember what they said what the other one was. Maybe they were both kind of Viking-esque, but actually it's funny that the original projection, the budget projection, was only supposed to last 18 months and only be on PC. And the game back then, they talk about so many things that is, we'll get into a little bit of that later, but there's so many things that they just, it's different. It's totally different, from what they wanted to do. They wanted to do, so originally it was a game called Ragnarok. It was more like a Viking-esque. Like I said, there's two different types. I don't really remember if it was both similar-ish to Ragnarok, or if it was Ragnarok and Longshot, or Ragnarok turned into Longshot and then Longshot into Spellbreak. There's a lot of going on. But Ragnarok was a Viking-esque game, but it wasn't realistic. And one of the things that Damon said was they had riding bears. And can you imagine if they kept riding bears in Spellbreak now? You're literally, you're riding a bear through Halcyon Village. You pull up, you pop off, you jump back on your bear, you get going. How badass would a riding bear be in this game? Would it fit? No, definitely not. But you still want it, right? I mean, who doesn't want a riding bear? But after this, Damon goes on paternity leave, and Dan Oggles kind of twists the tides a little bit, changes the game completely, makes it more of a magic shooter type of thing instead of a Viking game. So they go from fantasy Viking to magic shooter, and honestly, I know we're all glad about it, because it's, who knows if we would have, I don't even know about this game, or if I would have ever played it, or I would have watched it and been like, no, I'm good, if it was the Viking fantasy game, instead of looking at it and being like, dang, I'm gonna switch from PlayStation to PC just for this game in a pre-alpha. Who knows? Who knows what we would have done? Would it have kept me this long? Who knows? The original combat style was apparently very Dark Souls-esque, melee, and then it kind of transitioned into more of a For Honor type of gameplay, which would have been super freaking sweet in a BR, I think. Although it kind of gets weird if it's like solos and you have a third party with swords, with parrying, and if you're really good, then the level of your equipment doesn't really matter. But still, I think it'd be dope. And then they added range weapons and you could one-shot people, and then Seth was like, no, we can't do this. But then they kept adding more range weapons, and then that's when it changed. That's when Dan was like, you know what, let's just change it. Make it a magic shooter. And you can still practically one-shot people from range with focus mana and recklessness on ice, Frostborn. I don't actually remember the actual total damage, but still. At this point, Seth kind of talked about, I know a lot of you guys have actually talked about how cool it would be to add like a melee weapon or bring back the sword, which if you've not seen the sword gameplay from long shot, you need to. It's amazing. I'll try to find the video and post it in the comments below, but it's fantastic. I mean, it sounds like a lightsaber. It kind of looks like a lightsaber, and I want it really bad. So anyway, Seth talks about how they're not going to add ever melee options in Spellbreak. Possibly is what I got from it. He didn't really say they would never add it, but he did say I could go on a 3-hour call and talk about why melees and BRs will never be a good thing. So that makes me think that it'll never be in the game. So cool, maybe, but it's never gonna happen. They also had bushes. You could hide in the bushes like Fortnite. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds really shitty. That sounds really shitty when you've got an invis tox player hiding in a bush. You can already not see them, and now you can't see them even more, and now they're just gonna smack you with toxic. I don't know if I like that plan. Although it would be kind of cool, I guess, on the dishing out side, possibly. And I think when they were talking about switching to the projectiles, the first two originals were ice and fire, which are still in the game. And the first interaction, first actual elemental interaction was Dragonfire, which, as you guys know, I fucking love that baby. They talk about the art style a little bit and its origins. I'll just read off basically what I saw, which was Damon loves Japanese 80s, 90s anime art, which he then said, and here you go, here's your bad anime game. So, Spellbreak is an anime game. Damon proved it. And Seth kind of said that it feels more like a more mature Breath of the Wild, which is when I'm streaming, which I do stream every day, Monday through Friday. You can check it out, the link below. When I'm streaming, literally every person that's new is like, oh my God, this looks just like Breath of the Wild. Oh my God, it looks just like Breath of the Wild. So, and it does. It looks fantastic. It looks just like Breath of the Wild. That's exactly what I would say. But it does have a little bit of an anime twinge, which I can see. But I do think it's more Breath of the Wild to me. And with that Breath of the Wild, they brought in the Breath of the Wild systemic nature. Wow, I couldn't say that. Wow. Systemic. It's not even that hard of a word, dude. Systemic nature. Interactions. Dragonfire. Then they get to a section where they talk about their favorite non-scene things that were in the game that never made it to the light of day for players and testers to see. Damon's was vehicles, aka bears. Bears. I love the bears. Bring back the bears. I know it makes no sense, but I just think it'd be freaking cool. Maybe not even like to have always, maybe like I don't know, limited time or April Fool's joke or some shit. I don't know. But Seth chimed in here and he said they might come back later. Mounts possible. Possible mounts. How cool is that? Seth basically confirmed it. He also kind of said it again later, but we'll get to that. And another thing Damon said was that the boulder on stone never stopped growing. So you chuck it straight up in the air and it doesn't stop growing. Accretion doesn't have a cap. It just gets bigger and bigger as it lands. Seth's options were 2 old runes, which I think he called No, there's 3 old runes. There's a shield bubble rune, which I know a lot of you have actually talked about. A rune that, or an ability that gives you like a bubble where you can fight inside, or you can shield yourself inside, step out to throw a fireball, step back in, you know, that kind of thing. A turret, which, dear God, please no. Please don't bring in a fire. I know Andy wants this because he told me, I think he told, not me, he told in the stream he's a Torb main from Overwatch. No, just no. Don't put a turret in. No, please don't put a turret in that. And then another one, which I think is actually really cool, they call it Ethereal, which you could snap and go through the walls. I think it'd be a great name. I got a great name for this one. So you're outside the wall, right? And then you blink and you go through the wall. And then you blink and then you go back through the wall. So I think Blink would be a fantastic name for this rune. Just saying. Ethereal's cool, but Blink is better. Just so you know, Blink is much better. But back in the day, they had gym systems, which is really freaking cool. So your whole class and your whole build was in a gym. So when you killed somebody, you could actually take their gym, which had their technical classes and their abilities and stuff like that. So you could go from being an Invis Tox player to being a long-range damage modded ice player, which is super freaking cool. I don't know if those, not specifically like those are the abilities, but I'm relating it to the game now because I don't know what they had back then. And then Jesse's was, he said that the mix and match builds were ridiculously in depth and painful. So you would stare at the loot and you would have to do this basic min and max in the middle of combat sometimes possibly, or in the middle of a game, and you'd have to min max. Do I want to use this? Do I want to? You'd have it. I think that would be so freaking cool. But you are right. It is way too complicated for a BR, but it would be really cool in a different one. He also said Thunderclap was one of his favorite things, which is apparently was a skill that was kind of like a flashbang, but you could still see. It just distorted your audio. It put a low pass filter on it. It turned off your audio, maybe like a ring, maybe, I don't know. But like, he said people started to like think that their PCs were dying, basically, like their headphones were freaking out or something, which I think would be a super freaking cool concept for something. But yeah, it would definitely make people rage a little bit, maybe not understand what's happening their first go around, especially if they just like don't know the game. So smart move, not bring it in. I think they said actually it lasted one play test and then it was gone. Like it's not back. But I do remember back in the day, they said they never delete anything, so it could still be around, I think. Then they go into best moments, and best moments from pre-alpha, alpha, beta, closed beta 1, closed beta 2, you know, before launch. And this is something that's really, really cool that I didn't actually expect from them. I knew this about Seth, actually. Seth loves watching the updates roll out live with the community and streams, and he loves community events and stuff like that, which is super freaking cool that the CEO of the company goes around to streams when releases come and checks it out and asks people what's going on. I know personally he's been in my stream a few times on release and asked me, hey, how do you feel about it? Which honestly, I always feel good about it, so it's an easy answer for me. But yeah, so that's what he does. He likes his favorite moments was the updates and stream and community events and stuff like that. Jesse said Elements Goofy Games, which were the Olympics, which is basically where they had like a stone show off in Verdant Estate where you couldn't leave the ground, you couldn't levitate, you couldn't pick up anything, you only had to use stone, or Master of an Elements one, or Frost Mountain, I think it was in, I don't even remember what that freaking place is called. My gracious. Top left of the map, there's a castle up there before the windmills. Banehelm. There you go, Banehelm. And there's some mini games and stuff like that, or all sorcery. You can only use sorceries, you can't use your regular gauntlets, just the sorceries that are with them. Stuff like that. Anyways, Goofy Games. I casted one of those, by the way. I casted the Friday event. Super freaking fun. One of the coolest things I think I've seen in Spellbreak was the sorcery game where everyone had to throw sorceries around and couldn't use their regular spells. Super freaking crazy. The builds were crazy. People were actually very good at it, and I didn't expect it to be like an actual, like people actually, it felt like they were actually sweating at it, which Sweating is a good term, guys. Okay, stop taking it as a bad thing. It's a good thing. You're sweating, you're doing good, you're trying your best. What's wrong with that, right? So anyways, one of the coolest things that I've done, and he said, given all of the stuff we're going to add, it makes me curious what they're going to do, which hopefully that means that they know what they're going to add, and there's going to be some shenanigans in this game, because one of my favorite things about Fortnite is all of the shenanigan clips that they do, and that's like the only thing I know. Fortnite, blah 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 blah. We love Fortnite, we know, but like legitimately, there are some really funny moments because of the things that the developers added into that game that also showcase skill and just looked awesome. So I hope they add stuff like that to where we can play with that stuff. But yeah, he said, given all the things we're going to add. So he also mentioned Timmy's stack duo or stack solos, which also a freaking fantastic time. Damon talked about the beta PS4 launch and how it was really cool to bring in a whole new group of people, which honestly was awesome to me too. I never thought it would actually be there because I come from PlayStation, and before PC, that's all I played was PlayStation games. So it was really cool for me as well to actually watch that happen and bring in all of the PS4 people and all the PS4 people that I'd play with in the past. Not all of them, but a good amount of them to see that. And then he also mentioned that Seth would show off community clips in their weekly update. And in one of his favorite clips, I don't even think he realized, he said I couldn't remember the streamer's name, but the streamer is me, which was kind of crazy that he actually remembered this clip, because this clip is so long ago. I didn't even remember this clip. I'm going to actually find it and show you guys. So I'm going to roll it right now. But here it is. Kobe. Oh my God. Which is so, it's freaking cool, right? In which at that point we actually made an emote, a bolder emote that says Kobe on it. Which by the way, respect. And but yeah, so it was really cool that he remembered that clip. And then it was my clip, which is really freaking cool. And then they talked about post-launch. Jesse's favorite thing for post-launch is guilds. He said he was on the phone for 3 hours talking to their person who leads the guilds, leads the building of the guilds or the creating of the guilds thing, about how they want the guilds to work. And this was 2 weeks ago, which means guilds aren't going to be in the game. They've said that multiple times at first on launch. That's going to be later down the road, but still, the fact that he has 3 hours worth of things to talk about to the person who is creating the guild system makes me very excited. Like very excited. Like you have no idea. One of my favorite things in most games is creating clans and guilds and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. But by the way, we're going to try to make the biggest guild. So just, hop on board. We'll take everybody. We love everybody. So, and then Damon's it's just the beginning. Like I said earlier, it's just the beginning. So the fact that there's more to go. And then he said, knowing the plans for the foreseeable future within 6 months and ongoing map changes has him even more excited than launch. So maybe not more excited than launch. That might be putting words into his mouth, but still, he's excited for that nonetheless. And then Seth is something that's very similar to myself, which is bringing it onto the Switch. Now I can play Spellbreak while I'm on the toilet, or like in bed, or on the couch, or in a car, or at my parents' house, or at my best friend's house, or when I go up to Boston to visit some friends, or like somewhere else. Like you can always bring it with you. You don't have to lug around this big boy or a PlayStation or your Xbox or anything like that. But Switch is such a cool thing. I'm freaking excited about that. It's funny because Seth actually said he's super excited because he doesn't have a dev kit at home, a dev Spellbreak kit, so he hasn't been able to test it, which means the CEO of the company hasn't been able to test the Switch build at home, which I think is hilarious. It's hilarious. So it's just hilarious. And also he talks about outfits and such, because I think in game we've got Blind Faith, Mystic, Bug, Key, Patch, Red Marla, Pink Marla, Silver Rook, and then you've got I'm not missing one, am I? I probably am missing one. Anyways, and then you got I think there are 5 tutorial skins, maybe 6. Anyway, so you got 8 plus the one you can pick, which is all we have access to, and they have hundreds of skins, and he's super excited. One of my favorite things in all games along with guilds is customization and being able to buy skins and do shit like that. So I'm very, very excited about that. By which is the way I heard in from a certain birdie that Epic creator codes will be working in the store. So my creator code is it's Ohpee, just like Twitch, and it's right here. It's Ohpee creator code, just so you know, when you buy skins, pop that shit in there. Support your boy. Doesn't cost you anything else, and it helps me out. So, anyways, they talked about quests a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, chapters won't be in the game when it launches. However, quests, from the sounds of it, sounds like quests will be in the game, which we've had quests for a while, but they haven't really done anything. I think they were just like testing the waters of like, get top 5 in duos or get top 3 in solos or something like that. But it's going to be an 8 to 12, what did it say? 8 to 12 week story. It's going to tell stories from between 8 to 12 weeks long, and you're going to be able to unlock like lore-based, from the sounds of it, lore-based cosmetics or lore-based other things or story-based cosmetics, which is going to be super freaking cool. Game modes are still in the forecast. They didn't really talk too much about game modes. Oh, and he also talked about how he's most excited for launch because his sons are getting excited about the game. I know that's another thing with Dan, that he's excited for his son to also play the game. I can't imagine that, to be honest. I don't have a child, but like, your children are excited about a game that you and your company are making. It just sounds dope. Like I don't even know how to like really talk about, like I don't know, it just sounds really, really freaking cool. And he's just talking about how his son's friends were asking his sons to ask him when the release date is, which is also really funny. It's just really funny. It's also like Seth was talking about when they go and try to pitch the game to people, how they're like, oh, you're pitching a Spellbreak? My son was just raving about this, or my daughter was just raving about this game, which is also hilarious, because like you go to pitch somebody and they've been talked to about their child about it. Super cool. Andy then asks what we are really excited for, and I have no idea what to expect from the future. I'm really excited for guilds. I'm really excited for cosmetics, to be able to spend all the currency that I've accrued from the packs. I'm really more excited for the community though. Like, the community is going to be so different from what we've experienced recently, and even more different from pre-alpha and alpha. It's gonna be such a weird feeling, and I really hope that like the whole community, the core community that we have right now, is welcoming and not gatekeepy. Just because they weren't here in beta or alpha or pre-alpha does not mean they're not a part of Spellbreak. They are a part of Spellbreak as just as much as we are a part of Spellbreak. And please just welcome them with open arms, because this is going to be an insane time for this game, and it's just going to be amazing. And I can't get my feelings out of my mouth about this situation, and I am beyond excited. I don't actually think I put a lot of speculation in this, but Jesse was also talking about one of his favorite things is that we speculate and rip their words apart and talk about things. And I hope I speculated enough. I do have another speculation for you guys, and it's a release date. But I hope I speculated enough, Jesse, for you. And if not this time, then you know I will continue. I will rip everything you say apart. And I will find, like, I'm excited to see what you guys are put out in the next coming weeks, or next week on Friday, which is my theory about something. Anyways, my theory about release date. So I was talking to a bud in Discord. I don't actually know if he's cool with me saying his name, but we're gonna do it anyways. Sir Dapper, we were talking in Discord about how Proletariat actually has a slot at Gamescom, which is August 27th through the 30th. It's the Thursday through, I think, Sunday, which is next Thursday, not this coming Thursday. Wait, today's Thursday. Smart. Now, a week from now, August 27th. And they have a slot there, which if you don't know what Gamescom is, I've been told, I don't actually know this. I should probably do some research on this at some point, but I've been told that it's equivalent to EU's version of E3 when it comes to size. So to have a slot at something like that, they have to have something worth spending the kind of money on. If they have to even buy into that, I would assume they do. Anyways, that it would have to be worth to actually spend that money or time to release at such a thing. So I think that you are either going to see a new trailer or some gameplay or something, and at the end of that, it's either going to be one of two options. The first option is going to be a release date, which I think is the most likely. It's a little bit too early from a second option, which the second option is at the end of the video, it's going to be like play now, or they're going to pull like an Apex where it's like, hey, this game's just go for it. So I think next Friday, if they see the day they do it, they could do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They could be on board at any of those days. I'm not really sure when they're doing their thing. Time slots have not actually been announced at the part of when I'm recording right now. But anyways, next weekend we could potentially find out the release date, or it could release. I really don't think it's gonna be released though, because it's still a little bit too early for me. However, there's also PAX Online September 12th, which is right around the time where I was starting to think, originally I thought it would be like early October, but now I'm thinking like early to mid September is more likely. So maybe they release a video at Gamescom with the release date of September 14th or 13th or whatever that week, which September 13th is my birthday actually, so that'd be a dope gift, just saying. Although it's a Sunday, which would be a really weird day to release. Anyways, and then at PAX East, they maybe do the second option, like I said, where they have a new video and it's like play now or whatever. So yeah, that's my theory. Thank you to Dapper for telling me about Gamescom, by the way. And guys, I will put the video. They talk about a lot of things. This was really hard for me to break down. There's a lot of good stuff in this video. There's not a lot of like nuggets of future things. It's more like nuggets about the backstory of like how they got to where they are now. There's some footage. I think there's some footage. If there's not some footage in that, there's some footage from a stream Seth did the day before, possibly, where he does like a back in the day. He shows like videos and clips and stuff, which is super freaking cool if you've never seen it, which is also how I saw the sword gameplay. Anyways, I love you guys, and tell me what you're excited for. What was your favorite part in beta? What was your favorite part in alpha? What was your favorite part in this downtime, which I honestly don't have a favorite part in this downtime other than making these videos, which is super freaking cool. And that's my opinion. So I love you guys. I'll see you in stream or the next video, or release if the release comes before the next video. So peace, guys.